Right.
Yo, welcome back. Hey, everyone. It's the Rock Fantasy Man, Stephen Keeler, and back in the saddle. It's been a couple weeks off. We had like I guess, what do you call it, spring break a little bit from the channel. And just had to take care of some other stuff pretty much with my brick and mortar with Rock Fantasy. And if you want to check me out, rockfantasy.com, check us out in the store. But doing a lot of work with that. And we're back now. We're going to hope to keep some, content coming up every week now, and we're back, of course, with another episode of Rock Fantasy Files. This week we set the time capsule back to 1972 in another of our series of albums celebrating milestone anniversaries. Tonight I have put together an album battle, and I think this could have been Rand's idea originally. I think, well, we might have twisted around a little, with Emerson, Lake and Palmer with their album Trilogy going up against Yes, Close to the Edge. I've asked our guests to tell us what they like about each album, pick a couple songs from each album and give it a rating. Here's a little bit about each LP. Trilogy is the third album by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. It was released July 6th of 1972. It peaked at number 5 on the Billboard Top 200. I find it amazing that great albums like this were that popular in 72, and I almost wish I could take that time capsule and go hang out for the weekend. But Billboard Top 200, the single from the beginning was released and became the band's highest charting single, reaching number 39 on the Billboard Hot 100. And it was certified gold in the United States. It was recorded at Advision Studios in London with Lake as a producer and Eddie Alford as their engineer. And now a little bit about the other contestants here. Close to the Edge is the 5th studio album by Yes. It was released September 13th, of course, in the same year. In the US, it peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Top 200. And You and I was released as a single and reached number 42 on the Billboard Hot 100. It was certified platinum in the United States. The album also was recorded at Advision Studios. Eddie Alford was the audio engineer and the producer. Yes supported the album with over 90 dates, and it marked the debut of drummer Alan White, who replaced Bill Bruford 3 days after the tour started. So we're just going to sit back and enjoy these two albums and talk about what our favorite moments are and possibly what we didn't like, if there's anything we didn't like. So welcome everyone to the channel again, and thanks to Rand and Ryan and Sasquatch and Jack for all joining us tonight. We had Pete Pardo was going to join us. He's a little under the weather. Too many concerts made in the last week. But he did give his pick for what album he likes better, and I will disclose that later on in the episode. So hello, everyone. And who would like to? I'm going to pass the record over to Rand first, since we're going to give it to him. And so he's going to tell us about, how about we start off with ELP? And we'll go around once, and then we'll do Yes, and we'll finish up with that. How's that sound, guys?
Sounds great. Do it.
All right, cool.
All right. Well, I have a funny story about these two albums. I happened to bought them at the same time on a night after September 13th, living in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I was in the United States Air Force at the time, and I was at a place called Grant's, walking by, and I saw both of the 8-tracks. And I went, oh, I'm a fan of both of those guys. We got to get those. So I spent about $10 for 2 8-tracks and got home and to the barracks. And my roommate, David, was also a Yes fan. I didn't tell him I was putting the Yes into the 8-track player. I just started it. And I was grinning. And he goes, who is this? Who is this? You know how it starts out kind of unannounced, you know what I mean? Kind of hard to figure out at first. And as soon as they started going, he goes, oh my God, this is the new Yes. He just blown away. And I'm just grinning like a cat that ate the canary. It was so funny. I got him, but I'm going to talk about Trilogy first, actually.
That's what we're supposed to do, I guess.
Yeah. Emerson, well, it came out first, so that's why.
That's
but
good.
Emerson Lake and Palmer Trilogy, I was already a fan. Tarkus just blew my freaking head off. Another barrack mate around the corner. turned me on to Tarkus. He sat me down between his two speakers and he says, just listen to this. And he just cranked it really loud. And it was like unbelievable. I had never heard anything like it in my life. Tarkus, if y'all know, that song's insane. And especially for the first 5-8 minutes, you know, you just can't even figure out what the hell's going on. These are just three guys just going just crazy. You know, Hammond organ and a little bit of synthesizer and drums and bass. I mean, it's just nuts. And when it was all over, I just was like, I felt like I got run over by a truck. It was just unbelievable, you know. We'd never heard anything like it in 1972. There wasn't a band on this planet that was doing stuff like that. They just
so crazy, just crazy.
I know they opened the door and just went nuts. So yeah, a couple of years later, or a year later or so, I got I saw Trilogy, and like I said, I bought that one closely at the same time. So I probably played the Trilogy first. And it's hard to remember 50 years ago, but
Sure.
get detailed, you know. But I was hooked from the very beginning. I mean, it's like, no pun intended, but from the beginning. But I'm talking about the Endless Enigma. My God, what a song! It just, so much happens in the first 5 minutes of that song, and there's no vocals for 5 minutes. You know, it's all just this huge instrumental buildup, and then you hear Greg Lake's voice, and it's just he sings like butter on that song all the time. But really good on that song. And when it was all over, I went, "Holy crap! How are they gonna surpass this? What are they gonna do next?" You know, and from the beginning, it was absolutely beautiful, just nice acoustic stuff going on, and Keith Emerson's synthesizer solo was just, to this day, it's one of my favorite synthesizer solos of all time. Just Mini Moog, it's so primo, you know. As a matter of fact, when they were selling the Mini Moog a few years later at this music store in Eureka, California, I had the booklet in my hand for the presets, because there's no presets on the machine, but they had these diagrams where you could turn the knobs to get certain sounds, and they had Keith Emerson from the beginning on there, and you could actually play it, and it sounded identical.
Wow.
It was so cool. But of course, you know, you can't get your hands on that anymore. And after that comes what? Oh, the Sheriff. Yeah, Sheriff's crazy kind of song. You know, you almost get the feeling it's like a honky tonk country western prog tune. It's just nuts.
Definitely a Western.
I think that was the intention.
Yeah, yeah.
No question.
The music is really complex. The story is all about, you know, shoot 'em up westerns and stuff like that, bank robbing or whatever. You know, the funniest thing about it, and I'm going to mention this real quick, is the version of this on Welcome Back, My Friends, to the Show That Never Ends. There's a bass note that Greg Lake hits, and it's completely flat, about 1/2 a step, and it drives me insane. I have perfect pitch. I'm not bragging, I just do. And when I hear that, it goes dun 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 dun, dun, and it's just out of tune. And it's like, why did they let that out? There were all these different shows they did on that tour, and they had to go with the one from Anaheim where he's out of tune. I'm just like, unbelievable, you know. But anyways, that's just me quibbling. And then they do Aaron Copeland's Hoedown, which is funny, Denny, because you mentioned before, like, this wasn't your first rodeo, and Hoedown comes from the Aaron Copeland musical rodeo.
There you go, man.
There's a connection there. Anyways, turn the record over and let the 8-track tape go, and you get the title track, Trilogy.
Yeah.
Oh my freaking God, what a song. I mean, it starts out this really beautiful ballad, and all of a sudden Keith's all over the piano and everything. And then all of a sudden it just goes into this crazy synthesizer extravaganza where they're just like off the hook. And it ends on a blues lick. This is like,
Anything.
oh, yeah.
No musical boundaries at all.
You know what I mean? That blues jazz ending or something out of 1942. Like, what are they thinking? And then after that, it's when absolutely incredible song, Living Sin. I love that song. Greg sings solo on that thing. I can't do that unless I have a really bad cold. There's no way I can hit a low D like that. But yeah, that song is crazy. I just love that organ. I still can't play that to this day on my Hammond. But anyways, love that tune. And Abaddon's Bolero is the overdub capital of the world as far as adding instruments, keyboard after keyboard after keyboard after keyboard. I mean, it's like Eddie must have been going, "Are you nuts? What are we doing here?" But if anybody could have done it, it was Eddie Offord. It was my favorite musician of all time anyway. So, and it said, "Are you ready, Eddie?" And he goes, "No, you've got too many things happening here." So if I was to choose my three, I'll get to the points.
I was going to say, you've described every song. Are you picking the whole thing and doing like a Ralph Tambora and making them all tied?
No. I'm getting a Chris Allo vibe from you. Come on, let's get going. We only got
Ralph tied every Doors song, their Hendrix song, the one night. I forget which episode.
No, I'm going to tell you right now. Here it is. Number 3, Living Sin. Number 2, Trilogy. Number 1, The Endless Enigma. Fugue, The Endless Enigma.
And what kind of number are you going to give this thing, Rand?
These freaking things. I'm going to give this a 9.5.
Okay.
I love this album. I really do.
Yeah, I think it's a great album. I think both albums are great albums.
So are we going to keep rolling?
No, I'm going to ramble around and come back for you for yes.
Gotcha.
I'm going to go to Denny, and Denny does have to leave for a band rehearsal by 10 o'clock, and we're taping this about 9:30 Eastern time. So if you need to do both at once, that's completely up to you. Or do you, I can make you, I'll try to sneak you in before. I think you'll have time. So do your ELP. And
Okay, let's do that. Yeah. So like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, like a lot of like the bands I used to like in the 70s were brought to me by two older cousins that really shaped my musical landscape when I was a young kid. But ELP I actually discovered on my own. I at some point around like 76, 77, like buying a single record was not good enough for me. Everything needed to be a double LP because I got like Kiss Alive, I got Kiss Alive 2, and then like I would like Double Live Gonzo, and I kept going. And so I went to the store and I saw Welcome Back, My Friend, The Show Never Ends, and this one had 3 freaking vinyl in it. Like it was a 3 LP. So brought it home, put it on, and I was not like I said it many times, maybe still not today. I was not like musically, I guess, advanced enough to understand what I was listening to. Like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, if you don't have a trained ear, is not easy to listen to. But I was really like, drawn by the performance of the drums, the bass, the keyboards, and what they could do. And I'm such a guitar guy. But that didn't matter with Emerson, Lake and Palmer. They were able to get me in. So Trilogy is by not my favorite ELP album. Like I love Brain Salad Surgery and definitely Tarkus better. But Trilogy is the one that sneaks up on me once in a while, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, wow, this is a much better album than I think it is. It always does it. Every time I put it on, I'm like, yeah, it's much better. It's like, so like, like I listen to a lot of Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I do a lot of like work where I'm on the laptop and I can listen to music when I'm working, doing reports and stuff like that. So I put the Emerson, Lake Palmer quite a bit. And Trilogy is always one of the album that's like, I always, and I've been listening to it for like 30, almost 40 years. And I'm still thinking like, wow, it's such a better record than I thought it was. And it really like, it's almost like by then, and maybe like Rand described that a little bit, it's almost by then they were like, fuck it, we'll just do whatever we want whenever we want. And if it sounds weird or whatever, they didn't care. And it just made their composition even more bizarre and like almost better. Like, like you listen to like Mothers of Invention of Frank Zappa, and of course, like he's the the king of bizarre, but when it comes to really like composition and using like all kind of different style and all this album, they went wild. Like you want some like country spaghetti western, you want some like piano, you want some fucking blues, you want like low singing, high singing, no singing. They just went crazy, and it worked for me. Every time I listen to it, it really brings me to like always question like, okay, like in my Emerson Lake and Palmer ranking, where does it fit, right? And I cannot ever go over Tarkus and Brain Salad Surgery. It's too strong for me, but sometimes I think it's just as good. Right? It's just as good. Um, my favorite song from the album, uh, you know what? Like I do like Hoedown because it was the first song I ever listened to. It was on Welcome Back, My Friend. It was the show opener. So Hoedown would be 3. Uh, Trilogy would be number 2, and then I love Abaddon's Bolero. Would be number 1 for me. I think that song is absolutely insane. I think it makes absolutely no sense on no planet. it's just like, so that's my top 3. Great album. Again, I every time somebody says to me like, "What's your favorite Emerson Lake and Palmer?" I never mention this record, but now that I talk to you guys about it, tomorrow morning, the first thing I'm going to put is that album because it's that good. I give it a 9 out of 10, not because I don't think it's almost a 10. It's just because it's always going to be behind Tarkus and Brain Salad Surgery. But I might change my rating eventually. I'll let you guys know tomorrow. I'll listen to it and I'll let you guys know.
Cool. All right. So we'll move on to Ryan.
All right.
Then we'll go to Jack, and then we're gonna go back to Sasquatch, then to Rand, so he can go to practice.
Yeah, I'll try to keep this pretty brief. I've been an Emerson Lake and Palmer fan before I was even a Prague fan. I was first exposed to them with this record.
Mm-hmm.
I was really attracted to that album cover. I put it on, Barbarian came on, and it starts with such a sludgy riff for a Prague album. So I was instantly into them, at least for that album. I was young then. I was probably like 11 years old listening to that album, 12 maybe, something like that. It was pretty young. So I didn't latch on to some of the other albums right away just because I was so young. I feel like that's a album that you can get into because it's complex, but it's not overly complex. But as I got older into college and stuff, I became a really big fan of theirs, at least like the first half of their catalog, because it goes downhill later on, in my opinion.
Well, at least Love Beach.
Yeah, for sure. But Trilogy, this is actually an album that was a sleeper for me, even as I got into the other albums like Tarkus, which is probably my favorite one, Brain Salad Surgery, that the debut and Tarkus are just like perfect albums in my opinion. Like they're always going to be my 3 favorites. And this one's always been number 4, but it was like, I've always thought that I loved a lot of this album, but there were some things that I had issues with, mostly the Sheriff and Hoedown. They took me a long time to get into, but in recent times I've warmed up to those songs. And I do think that this is also a perfect album along with the other 3 that I mentioned. I think that it's just a really interesting album. It's not quite as bombastic as like Tarkus or Brain Salad Surgery, but it's very adventurous and weird and quirky and fun to listen to, but it's also dark at times, and I just love it. My top 3 on the album, I would say number 3 would be Trilogy, number 2 would be Endless Enigma, and then number 1's going to be Living Sin. I love that song. It's super heavy and menacing sounding. Yep. Some great keyboards throughout that one. It's just a crazy song, and I love Greg Lake's vocal performance on it too. It's so aggressive for him. And if I had to give this album a rating, man, in the realm that I would give the debut, Tarkus and Brain Salad Surgery all 10s, I'd also have to give this a 10. I really love it. It's such a fantastic album, and like,
Yeah.
I think it's one of the greatest runs of albums of all time. Those first 4 ELP records,
Mm-hmm.
and then Pictures of an Exhibition. Which is
Excellent record.
my all-time favorite album of theirs, actually.
Mm. Cool. All right.
Baba Yoga.
So we'll move over to Mr. Jack Toledano, if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Got it right.
And
As
welcome, and
everybody-
thanks for giving your time to the channel. And
Oh, always.
I gave everybody a couple weeks off to rest up. So,
All right. Don't worry, you'll be repaying me, Mr. Keeler. We'll talk about that later.
got to
So
track me
anyway-
down first.
So anyway, it's funny that you asked me to do this, talking about Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And yes, because I have an idea that I'm working on, and I'm eventually going to put this out there in the next couple of weeks to maybe a month. I want to do my top Emerson, Lake and Palmer. So I'm working on that right now.
Okay.
Songs. So, and this album is right at the heart of it, Trilogy. I think it's their best album. I mean,
Wow.
their most complete album. So like take Tarkus, for example. That is a great song, but then the rest of the album kind of loses me a little bit. And then Brain Salad Surgery, it's a great album, but half the album's Carnival 9, about 30 minutes of it. So
Can't
this
complain
album-
about that, though.
what's that?
Can't complain about that song.
No, but I like the collection of different
Yeah, okay.
ideas thrown together. So side one is, for me, is absolutely killer. I love everything about it. You know, the sheriff with that honky tonk piano from the beginning. That's one of the first songs I learned to play on guitar when I was taking lessons years ago. So basically what I'll do is I'll just get into my top 3, because I know a lot's been said about it. So
Mhm.
My number 3, and the first 3 songs could be one song. Endless Enigma parts 1 and 2, with you got that 2-minute ballad, piano ballad fugue in the middle.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I absolutely love that, and I wish it were longer. But Endless Enigma parts 1 and 2, that's my number 3. Trilogy I've known forever, since the early 80s when I first bought one of their greatest hit albums. And it was
Okay.
on there. And you know, I just love how it starts again, that synthesizer in the very beginning, so you know, melodic, and then it goes to this very bombastic, almost like prog metal almost, you know, in part 3.
Mm.
So Trilogy number 2, Hoedown number 1 for me. I absolutely, that is killer for me. I just love his, you know, Hammond organ, and mixed with the Moog synthesizer throughout that song.
Yeah.
You know, and then which is the one with the pronounced bass. That's Trilogy. Okay, but still, you
Mhm.
know, I was actually listening to this album when I was grocery shopping at 5:30 our time.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh no, I always, you know, I love to shop, but it can be boring. So I'm always listening to music, and I can't tell you how many times in the supermarket I've been caught playing an air guitar. It's fun.
I was wondering if like your supermarket was playing actually Trilogy over the PA.
No, but I was telling a story on Pete's show once where I went to a Trader Joe's down here, and they actually played Sail Away by Deep Purple, a song I never expected
Wow.
to hear. Yeah.
I was in a Dwayne Reed in New York City after a metal show several years ago, and they were playing like a really obscure but a really good Jethro Tull song. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool.
It's cool.
Like stuff you don't expect to hear
Right,
in the grocery
exactly,
store
yeah.
or drugstore or whatever. Yeah.
In
Oh,
any
yeah.
event, so I'll give you my rating. I give it a 9.2.
Cool. All right. So I guess it's my turn, and then we'll pass the record back to Denny. We'll go a little bit out of order since he's got to leave soon, and Brandon and us will probably sit and talk all night if we could. But going with ELP first, and ELP is a band I grew up with, riding around in souped up cars, skipping school in the 70s, and you know, and Hoedown back then. I think I was probably exposed to the live album before I was actually exposed to Trilogy, just the way we got into music and whoever had certain 8-tracks in our cars back then. And Hoedown was a really popular song. I remember friends of mine just loving to listen to Hoedown. You know, that and Peter Gunn were two of the ones that a lot of people went for back then, other than Carnival. But I didn't pick that as in my top 3 today. I'm a little rambling on, but there was also, that's, I would say my number, these are in no particular order. I'm just going to put 3 songs out there. I was giving this a strong listen from the last week or so, and Living Sin, I just love that song. That's going to definitely be in my top 3. That whole riff that Rand was talking about before, that it's just such a great driving song, a great riff and everything to it. And Trilogy, I'd say, was in my top 3 also. And From the Beginning is a song that I've always loved, and it just stands out for me. And it's like this cool, mellow song with great lyrics. And I spent some time in Daytona Beach. I think it was on my honeymoon in 1982. And there was this cool, like up here in New York, we had radio stations, a local radio station that would just play like, you know, the hits, or not the hits, but the singles from the albums. I'm not going to mention their name, but it was PDH. I guess I did mention it. And I was down in Florida, and we were just hanging out in this room, and I think we had it for maybe a week, or we were there for quite a while. And there was this radio station. I just couldn't get enough of it. And there's certain songs I can still relate. You know how you put music into a time capsule and you remember like listening to certain songs, and I'll even tell my wife, hey, that song is that's the Daytona Beach song that you would hear on the radio there. And I can remember like sitting in that room and drinking a beer and whatever, and it's in the ocean. And From the Beginning brings me back to that time period. I may have not even had Trilogy back in those days. I had Carnival 9, I had Welcome Back My Friends earlier. Of course I didn't have a lot of money, so I started adding stuff later on. So that's my little story for ELP, and I will give this album, I'm going to go with Ryan. I'm going to give it a 10. I don't know why I wouldn't. You know what? I probably did not like The Sheriff at first for years, and Ryan kind of said that too. But now I love it. I don't know why. It just grew on me, and I love that one. Doesn't like bullet holes in his chest. I just like that lyric for some reason. It's kind of like it's a funny song, and I love westerns also. So my go-to thing to relax at home is to put on a western and just get in the couch. It also helps me get to sleep at night if I just put something like that on. My wife was like, "You're going to be asleep in 10 minutes as soon as that music comes on in a western movie." That's like my lullaby. But anyhow, so I'm rambling on. So that's my thing. I'm going to give it a 10 for ELP, and I'm going to kick the ball back over, or pass the record. I got to learn my lines here. We're not playing ball. I'm going to pass the record back to Sasquatch as he's getting ready to go in rehearsal. He's actually coming to play in New York City in June, but we're going to talk about that on another episode. We're going to have a whole episode on that fest coming up. So Day of Armageddon, which is way off the charts with what we're talking about tonight. 80s metal.
Way off.
Mixture. But hey, we like it. I like both. So I enjoy it all. So welcome back, Sasquatch, and then we'll kick it back to Rand, and then we'll go in order again. Sorry, Rand.
No problem. I got nothing but time.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like, yes, Close to the Edge. It's probably like, I think my favorite Yes album is Relayer, and I don't know why, but I think it is. But Close to the Edge got to be number two. And I listened to that album a lot. In fact, I'm gonna tell you guys a quick story. For about like I would say like 5, 6, 7 years of my life, I used to fall asleep at night with having Yes blasting throughout the entire night. So I would put like, so Monday would be Close to the Edge, Tuesday Relayer, Wednesday Topographic, Tuesday, and like whoever was my partner during that time, whoever girl I was with, fucking hated Yes, like with a passion. Like it's didn't like it at all. But like I so I did listen to Close to the Edge. I would say like probably over like 1,000 times for sure. Um, and I Yes is like probably like my favorite like prog band overall. Even though ultimate respect for Emerson Lake and Palmer, but I definitely listen to Close to the Edge more than I listen to Trilogy.
Okay.
And not because one is better than the other. It just happens that way. Um, the my second band, like when I was super young, I would say like 15, 16 in Montreal. I was in a band called Phase, and they're in our jam space. We had like the back cover you see there was actually drawn on an entire wall. Somebody like some guy or some girl draw the entire thing, and it was so every time we were practicing, of course, we're playing a bunch of Rush. We're from Canada, and you have to.
Mhm.
So, but that was the background basically that we had in our jam space. Um, and like John Anderson, Steve Howe, Bill Brufford, or Alan White, and Chris Squire, and Rick Wakeman, or Patrick Moraz, whatever. In Montreal, these guys were like legends just as much as Led Zeppelin or anybody else. Like you see those guys as like amazing, advanced, like almost impossible to play these fucking songs. Like, like
Mhm.
try as a band to practice Close to the Edge and go and deliver it. It I don't care you guys want to put it, but it requires patience and a lot of work because it's not. I've seen cover band do it, but respect to these guys. I don't have that patience. I try to learn these songs, and like I sometimes I don't even know which one is the guitar or the keyboard. It's like completely like a blend of like music. But yeah, Close to the Edge, definitely for me. My favorite song, I'm gonna say it today. Now it changes every day. Like right now at this moment, if you ask me what my favorite song is, it's like Close to the Edge. But Siberian Cat Food, whatever how you pronounce it,
Mm.
a lot of time is my favorite song on the album. And the second song I ever learned, similar to like like Jack saying that he learned like to play like from the beginning as one of his first like acoustic song. For me, was And You and I got a 6-string guitar, and like my guitar teacher was like 6, 7, or 8. I was super young. No, not 6. I would say maybe like 9 or 10. Um, Used to teach me like some Neil Young and things like that. And then one of the practices he brought his 12 string, and I heard the 12 string, and I'm like, I gotta get that. But it's so much harder to play when you're a young kid to try to play a 12 string. Um, but he says, "Hey, I have a riff. I think you can master it, and still play." And You and I was the first song I ever played on the 12 string. Uh, Huge respect for Yes. I think they're an amazing band. All these albums from the 70s are so good. And every time you listen to these songs, even though I listened to it 1,000 times, of course, some of the time I was sleeping. I always hear something new. I always hear something that before didn't capture my attention. And it makes just these songs so much greater. And it's the intro to Close to the Edge, like before the music kicks in, to me is the ultimate like at peace moment. You hear like that little like bird or whatever. I feel like I am on the edge of that cliff, that picture behind me, and I'm just like totally open to the elements and just like embracing it. Um, so yeah, Close to the Edge for me is a straight up 10. I would even give it an 11 if I could.
No, you can. There's no rules.
It is like, to me, it is so good. And you know, like, I know, like, my ex-girlfriends, none of them liked it. And I have a quick story. My first, one of my wives, I don't want to say too much, but we went to see Yes Live, and she fell asleep at the beginning of Close to the Edge. And then she woke up and she said, "Did I miss anything?" I'm like, "It's still the same song." And she was like nodded off for like 15 minutes. She's like, "Oh, I hate that band so much." So anyway,
That's-
Close to the Edge, I give it a 10. Great album, great band, great musician, amazing.
It's like taking a girl to a Dream Theater concert.
Yeah, you're not gonna put out, dude.
Not many girls at Rush concerts either. For the
That's
most
true.
part, at least down here in the States. Maybe it was different in Canada, unfortunately. But anyhow, so you're going with Yes for the victory up there, right? Okay,
I'm going
great.
with Yes for the, but just because, tomorrow morning I'm listening to Trilogy, and then I'll message you guys if I change my mind. But right now, yes,
Nah.
please. Right now, yes.
You can leave it in the comments if you change your mind.
I'll do it.
Put
I'll
on.
do it. I promise. I will. I'll
Cool,
stay
man.
on. I still have a bit of time. I want to listen to these guys. I love these guys. I want to listen.
Rand,
Yeah.
we're passing the record over to you to put on.
Nobody wants to hear what I have to say.
They
Okay,
don't.
We do.
Mine looks different than yours, right? You know why?
What's that?
My album cover looks different than the CD.
It sure is different. I was just looking at that.
This
Then
is
it's
the
special
Stephen
edition.
Wilson. This is the Stephen Wilson remix LP.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't have that copy.
Roger Dean decided to do a different artwork because he wanted to do something besides the green. I guess he got
Yep,
tired of
different.
looking
Yeah.
at shades of green and decided to do this. It's actually, I don't know if you can see it that close, but it's actually some sort of a underwater coral kind of, I don't know, it's something to do with ocean, I guess, but it's a pretty amazing artwork. I like it a lot. I really do like the green though too, so it's kind of hard. I mean, not really rating album covers, but oh my God, I could talk about this album for way much longer than anybody here has got time. It changed my life. I mean, when I played that first song and me and David just sat there and just listened to it, our jaws dropped. I mean, we just could not believe what Yes had accomplished after Fragile. This was such a big step. And I mean, a lot of people may not know this, but the title cut, Close to the Edge, was never played by that band, by those 5 people, ever. It was all stitched together by Eddie Offord, and then he played it back to him and said, "This is what it sounds like, guys."
Wow.
And then Bill Bruford quits the band to join because Robert Fripp said, "I think you're ready to join King Crimson now." So he bailed, and then they got Alan White from the John Lennon Plastic Ono band and Joe Cocker, and decided to go out and tour. And that's the first time they played this song live, was on the very first concert of that tour. So Bill Bruford never got to play it live until 1989 when Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, and Howe toured, and Chris Squire wasn't there, of course.
Yeah.
So that's why those 5 people never played that song live, not once, not in the studio. They never played the whole thing once through.
Wow.
It was all done in sections.
Interesting.
And it's credited that way too. If you look at it's funny. I got this and they didn't give you the lyrics because they're everywhere else. They're on the CDs and the remasters.
Yeah.
But they had a really nice little insert for the LP with a really weird writing where it's really hard to read.
Mine's got lyrics.
Yeah, you do, but you don't have this remastered.
I know the remaster, yeah.
The
Looks like the
remix.
dog ate your homework there, Steve.
Stephen
What's that?
Wilson.
I said it looks like the dog ate your homework there.
Yeah, it looks like, well, somebody's dog at least. This probably was not mine back in the day. This is it's got a Rock Fantasy price tag on it, but yeah.
There you go.
Funny thing about it is I don't have that green LP. so I don't have those lyrics, but I couldn't read them anyway, so it's okay. But anyways, my God, this song, to me, it's 18 minutes of genius. It's just, I'm not going to keep you guys in suspense because I know everybody's pressed for time. But I'm going to tell you right now, and you and I, number 3, love the song. It's amazing. Siberian Khatru, number 2, great song. I love it so much. I mean, I could talk about that for a long time. And Close to the Edge, to me, is the greatest song ever written. So you can guess. I'm going to give this a 122.
Wow.
And I'll give it a 10.
Cool.
To me, it's the greatest album ever made with the greatest song ever written. So that's how much of a Yes fan I am.
Cool. There was actually a
Wow.
guy that does YouTube reaction videos, and I think his name is Jamal. My wife loves it, and
Yeah.
he
I like
has an
Jamal.
episode where he says the best song ever, and
Yeah,
it was Yes, Close to the Edge.
I watched his video. Yeah, I like
Yeah, you
Jamal.
watched it. Oh, yeah. And he's a guy that's like, supposedly has never heard any of this, came from like rap and hip hop background. And he's so much fun to watch. But anyhow.
He just gets into it.
But
Watch
he said the best song. And when you said that, Rand, I thought of that because I just saw that video recently from him.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that have never heard Yes at all, and they're playing that song and they're going, "This is the most amazing thing I've ever heard."
I don't know that guy, but I almost thought about a week ago I should like send him a text, see if he wanted to join us. That'd be great.
Yeah, yeah.
He just gets like,
Yeah.
I get like 500 views. That guy gets like 1 million views. So
Yeah, and I still can't get 1,000 subscribers. In fact, I'm losing people.
I'm not helping you much. Huh?
594.
Yeah,
I don't know what
that's
I've done
all right.
wrong.
Got to
I
do
would- I
reaction
do wanna-
videos, Rand.
I do
That's
want to
the-
say something quick about Close to the Edge of the song. A lot of people don't realize this. From the time that Rick Wakeman's doing his church organ, big bombastic solo all by himself,
Yeah.
to where he does that rise with the synthesizer, and then they go into that theme. Da 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 da. Fretless bass by Chris Squire at that point, all the way to the end of the tune.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's where they're doing the Rick Wakeman organ solo. Where he's really playing those fast notes,
Yeah.
You can hear these bass runs going like that. The only way you're going to be doing that is on that Guild fretless that he's got.
For sure.
Otherwise, it's going to go bouncy, 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 bouncy on the fret.
So we got yes 2-0 going right here. I guess we're gonna move over to Ryan. I don't know if he's already got it picked out because he's got a yes background. He didn't even throw up an ELP one, so we might be giving him some subliminal messaging here. Ryan is.
Well, I will say up front, yes is my choice.
Good
I
man.
mean,
Get out the
it's-
broom here.
We
this
can
album,
stay friends.
yeah, this album is just a whole package for me. I mean, this gatefold, like you look at that, it's such a beautiful piece of artwork by Roger Dean, who's probably my favorite album artist of all time. Him and H.R. Giger. But this album also kind of like changed my life too. I mean, I think that when I was growing up, I really did not like Yes very much.
Wow.
There was some songs that I liked, but it was just not my thing when I was like younger. I was more into like metal and hard rock. And I mean, I still am really into that kind of stuff, but I've opened my mind a lot more.
Mhm.
But I think this album was kind of the one that got me into the band as I was getting into college and stuff.
Yeah.
That opening track is just one of the greatest songs I've ever heard. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's probably the greatest or like close to the greatest I've ever heard. I mean, there's just so much going on in it. You got Bill Bruford's bombastic drumming during that intro. It's just so chaotic. It makes you like, it just sounds like an apocalypse happening or something. It's just so uncompromisingly heavy for and like just insane. And then, throughout you have amazing vocals. You have Chris Squire's bass playing, which he plays my favorite bass riff of all time on this song. It's 6 notes. It's nothing crazy, but that wow, wow, boom, 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 boom. That's just so groovy. And it's like so high in the mix. And it just makes you feel like you have to like bang your head to a prog song. It's just awesome. And then you have that amazing organ solo in the middle of the song, some beautiful vocals before that, the I get up, I get down stuff. And then it goes back into the chaos and then back into that amazing bass riff again and the verses and stuff. It's just one of the most perfectly constructed songs I've ever heard. And it gives me chills every time. Like it never gets old. So and then, you have And You and I, which is absolutely beautiful, and Siberian Khatru, which is such a groove. If I had to rank the 3 songs, wow.
Not easy. Not easy, man.
I had a list and now I'm looking at it, but I'm going to go with what I thought before. Number 3, Siberian Khatru. Number 2, And You and I. And number 1, Close to the Edge.
Perfect album order.
Yeah,
First.
it's a 10 out of 10 album. I mean, I'd give it a 15 out of 10. As great as that ELP record is, it's just
Because you did give that a 10, so you're gonna have to give this a 15 or 11 or 10 and a half for it to win. It's gotta cross the finish line. 10 and a quarter, something at least.
yeah, they're both perfect albums, but this one truly transcends music. It's so much more than just an album. And it's one of the most important things I've ever heard in my entire life. And I'm a huge Yes fan at this point, but nothing even comes close to this for me in their catalog.
Okay.
So good. It's so good. Nice to hear you. I can feel it. You're saying it, and I can feel your fucking passion for it. It's great, man.
Thank you.
Now we're gonna pass the record over to.
I gotta
Jack.
go, guys. But thank you so much, and I'll listen to the episode, Jack, so I can hear what you're saying.
Yeah, you'll
but
have to
guys,
watch
thank
it
you so
when
much.
it airs up. All right, and I'll be in
And I'll
touch with you, Denny.
put
Have
my
a good,
comment
have a
when you
good
release. I'll put my
practice
comment.
tonight. Yep.
Well, we're in the studio. I have to do guitar solo, so I'll get my inner Steve out. Come out.
There you
just for
go.
you guys. All right. See you
Kick
guys.
ass, buddy.
Take care,
Kick ass.
Out, brother.
All right, Jack. Welcome.
Oh, hey, how are you? Oh, we're a foursome.
And then there
The
were 4.
Fantastic Four.
Yep.
Hey, it's just like my poster behind me. See the classic black light. Fantastic
Okay,
Four.
so that's good. One less person to hate me for what I'm about to say, and this is in no way bashing the Yes album. It's a great album, but I'm actually going in reverse order, and I'll tell you why. So my number 1 is Siberian Khatru, because to me that is as close to the quintessential yet typical Yes song as there is on this album. I just love that beat and that it just sounds like a very typical Yes song, and that's what I'm going for. So number 2 is And You and I. That's a song that I kind of grew up with. So down here on Long Island, the popular rock, FM rock radio station at the time was WPLJ.
Yeah.
They've since wimped out and unlistenable now, but
It's like talk radio now or something. I don't know.
it must be.
Yeah. Well, WPLJ, just to interrupt you, that's for a second, Jack, and I'll let you throw it back. WPLJ for the longest time used Carnival number 9 and their like call tag thing there,
Right.
Yeah.
But and the song that they would always play back in the late 70s was And You and I. So that's the one I'm most familiar with. It's a nice, long, extended ballad type song. And Close to the Edge, it's a great song, but there are other 18, 20-minute songs that I like better. So, well, that's not to say at the 12:15 mark, I absolutely love when he goes into that pipe organ. For me, that's what really saves that song for me. I just love that till the very end. It's almost like you're about to watch a horror movie, but very, very cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to raise my original grade of Trilogy to 9.5 and give Yes 9.4. So for me, Trilogy edges out close to the edge.
Rand, put the broom away.
Missed it by that much.
Rand
know
is
what it is?
Rand's no longer your friend because he
I
said he
thought there
wasn't
was
going to
a
be friends with
I
Ryan
told
if he
Steve
picked.
it was going to be a bloodbath, a slaughter, a sweep. And Jack, you proved me
Nah.
wrong.
Can't have it. I'm just really
That's
digging.
good.
I'm just really digging Trilogy.
I like it a lot too.
Yeah.
Can I
Cool.
make a quick comment about Siberian Country before I forget? Because
Sure.
I got
Yes,
the
go
old
ahead.
too. Chris Squire said that he got that dun 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 bass line that he
Uh-huh.
uses also in the in and around the lake on Roundabout. He got it from Larry Graham from the Sly and the Family Stone band from Dance to the Music.
Wow.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
Listen
Interesting.
to that song and you'll hear it.
Sly and the Family Stone.
Dance to the music.
Oh, I know it very well. Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
Right there. Boom,
Time
boom.
for Sly and the Family Stone karaoke. We're coming out of nowhere with this, guys.
I wanna
I'm
take
known to sing on these things, folks.
I saw 2
You
years
just have
ago
no
here at our
control.
local county fair, the Orange County Fair here in Middletown, New York. They had the Family Stone perform. And it was I think one guy left from the original band and Sly's daughter. But it was a fun evening at the fair, just hearing those old tunes.
They can do
Oh.
funk, man. They funk out.
Yep,
Oh,
yep.
yeah. They're one of the best.
Oh, yeah. All right, so Jack is coming in with Emerson Lake and Palmer for a win, and everybody put your brooms away home, including Samantha from Bewitched. And
I'm
Here
funny with it. I love both albums. I really do. I could have given Trilogy a 10. Probably should have.
so Pete Pardo was joining us tonight, of course. I hope he feels better soon. And his pick was for Yes. He didn't give me any details, but so Yes, with another pick. So Pardo is giving Yes. And I think that puts him over the edge as a victor tonight.
I know for a fact that Pete's favorite Yes song is Siberian True. He's told
Okay.
everybody
cool.
100 times.
Yeah, he
I
really wanted to be on tonight. He said it was going to be a bloodbath or a dog fight or something when we were talking about it last week, setting it up. And
I almost tried to talk you out of it, Steve.
what you wanted to do is, yeah, you wanted to talk death metal instead, I think, didn't you? No.
The death of metal. No,
No
thanks.
death metal. But
Oh,
anyhow,
I have it on good authority that Close to the Edge is Pete's. I think it's his favorite Yes album.
okay, cool.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
I'm sure most people have watched all Pete's episodes, watch this, especially when we're doing this type of a topic, and they probably know just as well as probably more than I do. But
He has a video out called Yes Top 10 Songs, and Siberian Country's on the top.
yeah, as I talk about the Yes Close to the Edge album, I don't know if it's my favorite Yes album. It would be a tough choice for me to pick my favorite one right now. I like them. I like Roundabout. I like this one, and I like the Yes album all pretty much. I mean, we did an episode. If you guys want to watch a few weeks ago, if you dig into our archives, we did a Yes battle a few weeks ago on the two albums there. So I'm tongue tied here, but anyhow, back to the Close to the Edge. Close to the Edge, that song will get in my head, and as soon as I, just that Close to the Edge down by the river, it's such an excellent song. I will pick that as my favorite song from this album. Siberian Cat True is a beautiful song too. I love that, and I don't know if I like that better than You and I. So I guess I'll kind of tie with those. It was a tough album to pick 3 songs since it's only 3 songs. Like Rand said, well, how are we going to do that? A couple weeks ago, we were talking about this. I am going to lean on ELP, and I'm going to pick that for the win tonight, just because it has so many different songs and so many different different styles. I may change my mind tomorrow. I could say it's a tie. I'll pull a Ralph Tambora and say I like them both the same, but I'm just going to go with ELP tonight. I love Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and I love Yes too. And I like what Denny talked about with Yes, and like that whole how epic they were, and how he said they were as popular as Led Zeppelin, and where he grew up in Quebec. And I mean their stage presence and everything, like watching that Yes Songs movie, it was one of my favorite rock films, or favorite any kind of film, that I can just sit and watch that and mellow out with that, and just sit and watch. And there, like how they filmed that, and the long flowing capes, and I just love that era of music. So
I saw
maybe I
that
should
movie
pick
2
Yes
nights in
for
a
the
row,
win,
Steve.
but I'm gonna take ELP just tonight, but this could change. I think it was great just to just visit these two albums from 50 years ago, and God knows where the time goes. You know, I was about 11 years old. That's how old I am, and showing my age. And I didn't have either one of these albums when it first came out, because I was still listening to soul and top 40. And I discovered these albums a little later on. In fact, I discovered Yes probably more, other than my buddies I have in an 8-track or something of, I think, Fragile. I discovered Yes a little bit later, probably around 78, when I was working at a department store in town. I remember a friend of mine, it was a real head, like a real stoner guy, that turned me on. Hey, you got to listen to more. You've only heard this album. Yeah, you got to listen to this. And he turned me on to the Yes Songs Live album. And man, that thing didn't leave my car for a long time. And I still remember like dating this girl and then having her disappear. And it was way before cell phones and everything else. I got a call, woke up my parents at the house one night, and she said, "You got to come help me." And it was like this weird, like foggy night. And I was driving way out in the woods to pick up her and her girlfriend and come back. And that's absolutely nothing to do with the album. It's another thing where this music brings me back to a certain time and place in life. So, and
Yeah, they're all time machines. All
yeah,
these
all
records.
time machines. And just you think of those days going past. And I mean, these albums sound as fresh today as they did when they came out. Like they do not age. I mean, they age, but they sound as great today when you put this on as it did back then. You know, like some music you liked at certain times, and you'll go back to it and go, I liked this that much back then, you know, but not with these bands for sure. And our viewers who's watching in tonight, and as I stumble over my words, but please tell us what you like about these albums, what you dislike in the comments, and hope you guys all enjoyed. Thank you for taking the time to watch the show, and please take a moment to subscribe and like the video and all that good stuff. And before we hang up tonight, what's going on Jack's channel? Tell us about it, Jack.
All right. So yeah, no, we were just talking off the air before we went on the air about all the projects going on and Sea of Tranquility. So in my little corner of the world, I'm keeping busy. So my daughter's boyfriend and I just did we did a recap of all of WrestleMania from the weekend. And,
yeah. Okay.
That went very well.
That was a lot of wrestling to watch, brother.
Yeah, that was 2 nights, about 17 matches. Actually, I think it was my longest video, came in at 59 minutes. So that. And then last night, I finally was able to pin Mr. Rick Bonte down, and he and I talked about our top Rush songs.
I saw you premiering that. That looked pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that was great. I really liked that. Now last week, my brother from the same mother and we did our top Steely Dan song. So that was fun.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
that's one of Ryan's ones there.
oh, there you go. Okay. So
I love Age. I think
and
Age
that's
is the best
of
thing
course
ever.
how do they find you? That's all or nada.
All or
All or
none.
none, according to Jack. So
Cool,
pop on over.
cool,
And
cool.
Steve, I really appreciate you giving me the minute or two to talk
Oh,
about
yeah, I try to spread it around. I'm no rock star. I'm no Eddie Trunk or anything. So.
it.
Hey, Ryan, so you got some projects going on too. You got a Facebook group that you've recently kind of started up, and let's hear about what you got going on.
Yeah. So I've definitely been super busy. So on my channel right now, Ryan's Final Destination, I've got a series going about Genesis. We're going through the entire discography right now. I've got Rand on it, and I've got a few other guys that I know from other channels. We've been doing that. I have one that we just started up on Aerosmith.
Nice.
And so I have a few guys on that too. We just did an episode. I just put it up actually. It just premiered today. And it is about Toys in the Attic and Rocks.
Nice.
Next week we'll be doing Draw the Line and Night in the Ruts.
Okay.
And we're just going to go through the entire discography of their music too. I have another thing that I'm recording tomorrow. It'll be up sometime soon. It's about Prince side projects, so like albums that he produced with people.
Okay.
Or he did the songwriting, the
Oh,
instrumentation.
Ryan, if you don't mind me interrupting for a quick second, just you brought up Prince. So my wife and I were watching 6 o'clock news last night. They showed a clip of when Prince was like 10 or 11 years old.
Yeah,
You guys saw that?
I did.
It was the coolest thing. Here is this little kid, his voice hadn't even changed, and they were asking him about a teacher strike, and he came out for the teachers. You know,
Yeah. He said they needed a raise.
yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, so we'll be doing that too. I've been doing a lot of written reviews on Facebook. It's also Ryan's Final Destination. Yeah, I started a Facebook group to kind of plan out different
Cool.
videos we'll be doing in the future.
Mhm.
Then I've also been doing, like I said, written reviews for my page. I've been doing some written reviews on Sea of Tranquility, and then I've also just been doing a ton of other channels right now. So it's been busy times, but it's been
You
good.
sound like you were just thinking about music and writing about music and talking about music as soon as you get up until you go to bed, brother.
And I'm recording right now.
Congratulations on writing for Sea of Tranquility. That's very
Yeah.
cool.
Thanks.
I did that about 10, 15 years ago, and then I just got
Wow.
burnt out. Yeah. It's a lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried
Oh,
it
it
for
is.
about 3 weeks.
It's a lot of work just
Yeah.
doing any of this stuff and getting people together, and it's a lot of fun when you get it going. But and Rand Kelly's got a YouTube channel, and he needs you to just go and hit subscribe. He's trying to get to 1,000 views so he can go live. 1,000
Yeah.
subscribers so you can go live, right? Isn't it, Rand?
Yeah, right, yeah.
So if you're watching
But
it,
I don't really have to go live. I just wanted to do it because I
well,
want
you
to
would
try
like
it.
to.
Yeah, I'd like to, but if I don't, I don't. I
Oh.
still make the videos and I do what I want to do. I'm still doing the Take One projects. I
Yeah.
haven't done any in a while, but I did a Mellotron thing for a friend. I just because
Yeah.
he has his own station. He has his own reaction channel. He's called Just JP. His name is Justin. And he made a statement listening to some prog group because he listens to a lot of prog. And he goes, I just love Mellotron. He goes, I could listen to it like all day. And I said, well, I own one. If you want, I'll just make a piece for you and you can title it. So I did it and I sent it to him and he fell in love with it.
Cool.
And so he wants to title it, but he hasn't really come up with anything that he can use yet. So I do that. And then also Ryan and I are doing a show that started on his channel, but now it's moved to mine, and it's called Saucer Rock. And what it's about is the songs that bands in the 70s, mostly proggers, wrote about UFOs, flying saucers, spacecraft, Star Trek, Star Wars, anything that doesn't really belong on this planet, but could be out there. We're showing those songs, and we're not playing the songs or anything like that. We're just reading the lyrics and kind
Okay,
of
yeah.
and analyzing them. So if anybody's interested in watching that, it's called Saucer Rock, one word.
Sounds like something that Spaghetti Lee should be on.
Well, I could talk about that, but I'd have to be off camera.
We'll talk off camera. Yeah. Spaghetti was going to join us tonight, but he got stuck at work. All right, guys. So I guess we'll wrap this one up. And thanks for everyone for giving your time to the channel. And we will see you back here soon. Bang.
Peace out. Yes, and ELP.